Okay, so I just got my daughter back from a trip, and it feels fantastic to have her back. And I'm so excited to do a little interview with her to hear what this experience, how it has impacted her. I have tried to influence my children to think about that the importance of taking care of their body, mind, heart, and soul. And it's not so easy when they go to school and they are busy with friends and with life. But I thought, you know, if she could kind of edge in a little time for herself before she starts working, it would be so wonderful because I think that the choices we make when we are in our 20s, they are life-changing. I mean, any choices we make are life-changing, but the choices we make when we are in our 20s can really impact the rest of our lives. So being then connected to ourselves is super important. So now maybe she has gotten more connected with herself, and that's what we're going to find out, right, Olivia? Mm-hmm. So welcome back.
Thank you.
It's very nice to see you.
Thank you. It's nice to see you.
Yes, you got back yesterday. So wonderful, so wonderful. Yes, so you have been on a different continent. So tell us what you've been up to.
I have been in India for the past month in Goa doing a yoga teacher training. And I just graduated a few days ago and received my certificate. So I just got back. And it feels really good to have done something like this for myself.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So I know that no, so you're going to look at me and not them.
Okay. It hadn't happened.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not. So we have gotten started. So that's fine. So I know that it would be nice for the audience to know that you graduated with a master's in what?
Philosophy.
In philosophy, exactly. So you just graduated this summer.
In July I graduated with a master's in philosophy.
Yes.
And now I have been doing small jobs, and I knew way before I graduated, like years ago, that I wanted to do a yoga teacher training. Mm-hmm. And
to teach, or?
You know, I didn't really, in a positive way, I didn't really have any expectations of where it would bring me. I knew that it was something that I wanted to do for myself, for my life, just for the benefit of my life, and hopefully those around me as well. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have any intention of knowing whether I wanted to teach afterwards or not. Mm-hmm. But I knew that it would be something that was very beneficial.
Mm-hmm. So you had the instinct.
Yeah, like it was an intuition that I had.
Yeah, yes.
And I'm very glad that I listened to that intuition.
Yes, good. I'm so happy for you. So since I talk about energy most of the time, how to maximize and manage our energy, you know, I look at the body, the mind, the heart, the spirit, because I believe when we optimize these four, we really come alive, you know, we feel super energetic. So in what way has this impacted your kind of sense of strength or health in your body this past month?
Specifically my body?
Specifically
or the body. Or the balance between the body?
No.
Yeah, body.
Don't worry the body.
I mean, they're all interconnected. Very much so. It's difficult to isolate one without looking at the others, but I think if I'm just looking at my body, I would say that it has really, because of the detox that I had while I was there.
Detox from alcohol?
Detox from a lot of things. Detox from alcohol, detox from social media, detox from kind of any any unhealthy food, kind of mass-produced food. Everything was really healthy, organic, you know, grown in their own garden, made with organic materials, super healthy. So it was a detox, and at the same time kind of coupled with this physical movement, meditation, really a lot of work with grounding the body as well as strengthening it, and working on kind of finding the limits of the body, and you know how you can work within that and try and minimize how we use our body in a negative way if we push it too hard, and just really strengthening it in a very positive way. I feel much more aware of my body, I would say. I think I can feel how it interacts, how the different parts of my body interact with one another. We learn about a lot of anatomy and how, you know, our organs relate to different functions in our body, our mind, how they're all kind of interlinked. And so I feel more, because of that knowledge, I feel more aware of it, but because I've also been using my body so much, I feel more present in my body, I would say. And I feel stronger as well because of that.
Wow. That is just
feels great.
Yes, I can imagine. And that's kind of music to my ears.
I knew it would be.
Yeah. No, it's super, super important, and what a gift you've given yourself. It's and now you also have a practice that you can go back to, you know, whenever you need it, because you really learned this to do yoga and build your own programs. And for yourself, and also be able to teach.
Yeah, to share it will be really cool.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. That's great. Good for you. So do you think you will be able to kind of edge that into your life now when you go, because you start working in a few days? What kind of perspective or intentions do you have going into your work now? Will you be, because I know you worked in the fall and it was just more, you know, work. Will you be able to take better care of your health, you think, now?
I think so. One of the really big reasons that I wanted to go is because of something that I've been thinking a lot about, and it's kind of the work-life balance, like a really healthy balance in your life and not living in extremes, which is something that I think that I have done during my studies and in my life, and while I was working in the autumn as well. And I knew that this would really help me, and I think it will, because I can't really imagine going into my working life now without taking what I've learned from this experience and integrating it. I think that it will more be that the rest of my life these will kind of be the foundations, and then everything else will be built around it, rather than having work and all of the daily activities be the groundwork, with kind of a bit of fitness and kind of some health stuffed in between the pieces that you can try and fit it into, which I think I know that that's how I acted before, how I planned things before. I would look at my life and I would try and fit these kind of healthy habits in the cracks. And now I think my perspective has really flipped, and I think that those things that I really want, the things that I've learned, will be the building blocks. And then, you know, job, social life, everything else will come and be laid kind of as layers on top of that, which has been a really great lesson to learn. And I think will be really positive.
Oh, I'm so happy for you. Yay, another high five. So this is really cool, because a guy named, what was his name? The guy that wrote 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey, exactly. I saw him in a video where he was explaining about your values, you know, the things that are really, really important to you. how you do not really get time to invest in those unless you put them first.
Yeah.
Right. So so having your values, you know, very centrally, you know, located in your life as like the foundation of a house.
Yeah.
And you build, you know, your life on top of it. It just sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it feels really good actually to have gained that knowledge.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And so do you think you will do like, you know, the food, eating right and exercising? Will you begin the day with that or?
Yes. I mean, we all have plans. I think many people have plans to do that. And one of the things that we learned while we were there is that it's very important if you want to be closer to yourself and live a life where you find fulfillment, to have strong willpower is one of the bases of kind of finding that path. And I think this willpower can be interpreted in so many different ways, but one of them I think is a commitment to yourself, to the and other people. So the promises that you make, the things that you want to do, to have the willpower to follow those through, to see those things through, is really important. It's something that I'm going to be very mindful about going forward into my job. But yeah, no, the plan for me will definitely be to integrate a lot of what has made me feel so good. A lot of what I knew would make me feel good, but maybe I didn't live my life by previously. I now feel like it's become part of my routine because my habit has now changed into that. So I know that if I just continue and I have the willpower, it will, I will be able to kind of, use that as something to start my day with. And I think that will be a very fulfilling thing.
Yes.
And I can't imagine not starting my day with yoga after having done it every single day for the past month. And
great. So, you know, one of the things we learned within coaching is that in order to say yes to something, we have to say no to other things. And that is one of the hardest things in life.
Yeah.
Is to like say no to, you know, staying out too late or watch that movie or take another drink or saying yes to everybody who wants our attention or... Did you learn anything about the importance of kind of saying no to certain things and maybe and tailored specifically to your own needs, or not your own needs, but your own kind of habits or tendencies? Do you have any awareness around that?
Yes, I think it's not something that we spoke about as a group with my teachers specifically, but it's something that I've thought a lot about, not only in the past month, but kind of over the past few years. Because I do have a hard time saying no to things, to stopping myself from doing what will give me instant gratification. And that's always been a difficult balance for me. And I think that you can kind of approach it from two perspectives. Like following on from the last question as well, I think it's important to not be too strict with yourself. Like you can have the willpower to say no or yes to certain things, but if you feel like you make a mistake, to not be too hard on yourself, I think is really important, because at the end of the day you need to be kind to yourself instead of being self-critical, which will make it much harder for yourself to accept. It's kind of like when you speak to other people and you give them constructive criticism, you have to speak in a way which will not provoke them to react with a defense mechanism, which means that they wouldn't take the information in.
Yes.
Many people kind of know that that's how you should give constructive criticism to other people, but no one thinks about how you give constructive criticism to yourself. You need to really speak to yourself in a very kind way, in a way that won't bring up your own defense mechanism, so that you don't take in your own kind of feedback from yourself.
What great insights. My God. Did you get that while you were away? Or yeah? All right.
So you can't be too hard on yourself. You have to really like approach it from a loving way. Because because everyone wants to do fun things every once in a while, and that's not going to deter you from having a balanced or, you know, healthy life.
Of course.
But
so let me then ask you, because you know, like the Dalai Lama was asked, you know, how can you live a life of balance, you know, all the time? And do you know what his answer was?
No, what was his answer?
No, he said, what happened?
No, it's all good.
It's all good?
Keep going.
Yeah. Okay, good. So he said that, you know, I fall out of balance like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
The difference maybe with me is that I catch myself quicker. You see?
Yeah.
So if you fall and it's like, okay, well, I'm falling. I notice that I'm falling, but I keep on falling. And then it becomes so much harder to bring yourself back, right?
It's true. I think being really aware of where your mind is going, like not letting your mind just be this kind of like run rampant, and be really aware, like notice where your thoughts are going, because you need to, one thing we learned about is cultivating your mind.
Yeah, so let's talk about the mind.
There was what was we were coming onto something and I wanted to say, I can't remember what it was. We'll continue. Maybe it will come back.
Yeah, okay.
We'll come back. Yeah, we'll come back again.
Yeah,
continue.
Yeah. But it's lovely that, you know, it's a good transition to go in and talk about the mind.
Yeah.
Because I definitely believe there is a link between the body and the mind. You know, I notice myself that when I exercise, where I feel much more focused, I feel, you know, my mind feels calmer. If I eat right for my body type, you know, I also feel so much more grounded.
Yeah.
And just more juicy in my body.
That's right.
So tell me, what impact, you know, how have you noticed, you know, your thinking or your reflections or your awareness, has it developed during this past month?
Yes. Coming back to the discussion about the awareness of the body, I think that as you become more aware of your body, which is why yoga was given as a study, because it prepared the body for meditation. So it would allow the body to sit in meditation poses for longer periods of time, but also to create an awareness in the body, which would then lead to an awareness of the mind. So it's kind of figuring out, okay, so I have this restlessness in my body, and then seeing that there's a mirror between the restlessness in the body and the restlessness of the mind. So if you become aware of one, you automatically become aware of the other. And if you calm one, you tend to be able to calm the other, which is why if you exercise, you tend to become healthier in both body and mind. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
And so you express it so eloquently, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, so great. I'm very happy you get to practice what you just been learning.
I know there's so much as well that I want to kind of look back at all my notes and rewrite, and there's so much valuable information. But yeah, I would say that I definitely feel more balanced and stronger in my mind. I also think that, like I was saying, it's hard to explain. I don't want to generalize and say many people, but I know that from my personal perspective, I sometimes would let my mind run away with me. It's something that I often did. And then I would create these cyclical patterns in my mind, because that's how the mind works. You know, it's a muscle. And the more you think about one thing, the more your mind is prone to continue going back to that same thought, because you're building a habit, you're kind of building that muscle.
Exactly. Can I just stop you for a second? Yes.
Yeah.
So this is very interesting she's saying, because, you know, we have they say between 50 to 70,000 thoughts per day. And you know the percentage of...
Someone's told me this. It's like 90% or something.
Yeah, I think I told you this.
Someone, could have been you. I think 90% of the thoughts are the same.
Same as they were yesterday.
And I think that that's quite an overwhelming thought. But if you think about it, and if you think about it, it means that you really can construct your mind. What I was saying was, people often think, okay, not people, but the perspective is often, or my perspective almost was, that my mind kind of controlled me and I was a product of my mind. And my thoughts were kind of uncontrollable, and that was the way my chemical balance was. And I kind of had to accept who I was. And whilst you do have to accept and love who you are, and to some extent that is true, you also really have the power to cultivate your mind. So if you want to have a certain thought pattern, or you want to stop having a certain thought pattern, you just have to, like the Dalai Lama said, you have to catch yourself. So you have to catch yourself, and you have to think, okay, which direction do I want to go in? You know, it's not like you are a victim of your mind and your mind decides where to take you. You are your mind, you know, you're one. You decide.
Yes.
You can decide completely what you think about, what you focus on, you know, the small things that annoy you, or, you know, the bigger picture. One of the really big things, which has been awesome about this experience, is I've seriously worked on not letting small things kind of penetrate my mind and change how I feel. You know?
Fantastic.
So I mean, it could be anything. You know, those little things, like everyone has them, like those little things that just like, oh, you see something, you're like, oh my God, that is super annoying. Super annoying. And I've even noticed that since I've come back only in 1 or 2 days, that small things, I just I decide, this is not something that I'm going to focus my energy on.
All right.
So many high fives. And it really is, you can decide.
Yes.
You can definitely decide. And
exactly.
That's another thing we learned about, which is one of the base. There's this Patanjali's 8 limbs of yoga. And 2 of the limbs are based on ethical values and personal development, or personal kind of guidelines that you follow. And one of the ones is willpower, which I already spoke about, and the other one is contentment. And all of them you can interpret the way you want to, but I really interpreted it as in choosing to be content, or choosing to what to focus on in life.
Yes.
So that was something we really learned a lot about, and really deciding what you want. You know, everything you focus on determines the outlook you have on life. You know, you can change completely how you live, how you perceive your day. If you perceive it in one light, it can be the exact same events, but it's all about your own, the openness of your mind to decide whether or not you have a good day or a bad day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And you have personally experienced this.
Yes.
Yes.
For sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is, what a gift. What a gift. So you know that your dad bought a book once, you know, like 20 years ago, and you talked about don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff.
Yes.
So now you got about it.
Yeah. I really need. He gave me the book. I haven't read it yet, but I'm gonna read it.
Yeah. But now you understand what it's all about.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah. Great. So we will continue, because this is so interesting. So let's
make a little series.
Yes, we can make a little series, or we can just for people to just dive in and you know, listen to the whole thing if they want, right? So what about emotionally? How have you emotionally been feeling?
I think that if you dive into this kind of an experience, you will always have a very emotional journey, especially because we were very much encouraged to reflect on ourselves, our minds, our emotions, and we had a lot of time in silence. So every day we were silent between 9 p.m. and 10 a.m. So we were silent for a long time, a long portion of, for a lot of that time we were sleeping, but
13 hours.
Yeah, but we you know, during our entire morning practice and our breakfast, you know, going to bed, everything, we had to be in silence. And so it gave a lot of time to reflect. And I think that, you know, I had ups and downs, I would say. I had moments when I felt like completely elated and really positive, and then I had moments where I was really delving through kind of deeper things within me that brought up a lot of emotion,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but even if they were negative emotions,
Mm-hmm.
I really felt
Mm-hmm.
a lot of, I felt like it was really positive.
Mm-hmm.
So I've kind of come back feeling much emotionally stronger, you know, and more grounded,
Mm-hmm.
I would say, probably more protected.
Mm-hmm.
We did a lot of grounding meditations, which is really important, especially if you're an empathetic person and you're very impacted by others' emotions around you. It's really important to ground yourself through kind of you can have rituals, you know, everyone goes through, you don't have to meditate, but I feel through that, I think emotionally stronger, definitely.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and I've also like learned a lot of really great things about myself, about my emotions, and that's been super nice.
Yes, I can imagine. That's so
been
nice.
awesome.
And this is such an important skill to learn, you know, how to deal with your own emotions and also how to deal with other people's emotions. And you know, sometimes we don't even know, you know, what's mine and what's theirs, right?
Yeah.
And learning to kind of drop, you know, things that are not yours, right?
Yeah.
So
it's a very difficult thing to kind of sift through and figure out like what is coming from me. We were talking about that in regards to, you know, emotions, social values, how we live, why we make the choices we make, you know, what is really something that we care about deep down, and what is just kind of the byproduct of our upbringing, the byproduct of the society around us, and it's something really important to think about.
Yes. Good. So I actually have a coaching call right now in a couple of minutes. So I would love to hear if we could, you know, continue and talk about, you know, the spirit, the soul, and and maybe you can reflect a little bit on that, and we will come back after I have done my coaching call.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, it's been fantastic to listen to you. I'm so glad we have this you know, taped. Yeah. So we will come back later on with another part of this little exploration of what it has meant for Olivia to be on a yoga teacher training course. Bye for now.